Talking with the experts.
Cory Zacker takes us through the steps on how to avoid overwhelm and burnout in your business in episode 311.
I think people are afraid to delegate or to hire out, thinking, I can't afford to do that. It's going to be too much money. But I always encourage, sometimes, again, small chunks. For example, you could hire a virtual assistant for a couple of hours a week. It's not going to cost you that much in the long run. And it will save you so much time and so much mental anguish. I once worked with a client and we did the yay, nay giveaway list because she was doing everything in her business. She was overwhelmed. We did the list. We figured out who she needed to hire. She brought on a project manager actually into her business. And it was an investment. She had to obviously pay this project manager monthly. But within about 3 weeks or so of bringing on the project manager, it freed her up so much.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
And welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my special guest is Cory Zacker. And Cory is going to be discussing with us how to avoid overwhelm and burnout in your business. And Cory is a business consultant and strategist, as well as a certified positive psychology coach. Goodness. She helps brilliant service providers grow, nurture, and manage their business with personalized growth strategies and business mindset coaching. She has over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience and uses her business wisdom plus her warmth and humor to help others align with their core values, simplify their systems, and manage and grow their teams, all while reducing the stress and overwhelm of growing their thriving business. Welcome, Cory, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Rose. I'm super glad to be here.
Yes. So how did you start and realize that, a lot of us were so overwhelmed and burnt out and we needed help?
Yes, I love to talk about it and help other people in business with it because I've lived it myself. And I live in Los Angeles, California, and the rumors, if you've heard them about our traffic, is definitely true. So I used to commute to my corporate job over 3 hours a day in Los Angeles traffic. Loved my job. I loved the mission. I loved the people. But driving all those hours and then working a long day and also raising a family and doing all the things just got me very overwhelmed and burnt out. So I decided 4 years ago to leave that job and start my own business working from home, thinking, great, that's all my problems are solved. But I quickly started falling into those same patterns of doing everything myself and working myself to death, and was getting very close to burnout and realized this has to change in order for my business to succeed and for me to have the life that I want. I need to make some changes. So that's what I did. And now I help other people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, overwhelm and burnout is such a prevalent thing in small business. I mean, because you have to, you think you have to do everything. I mean, and when you start out, you do have to do everything. And then, as you progress, you write procedures and SOPs and do whatever so that you can hand those tasks over to somebody else who is, able to do them for you. But, how do we, other than, passing on tasks, how do we avoid overwhelm and burnout?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And when I first started my business, you're right. You think you have to do all the things yourself. And a lot of the things you do have to. But if you really, what I like to do with what I did with myself and what I do with my clients is sit down and make a list of all the tasks that you do in your day, whether for your personal life or your business life. And I call it the yay, nay, giveaway list. And the yay list are all those things in your business that, okay, I'm doing all these things, but they're taking me away from what I really love doing. So the yay, nay, giveaway list is a way to get clarity on, okay, yay are the things I love doing, nay are the things that burn me out and overwhelm me and that I possibly could delegate, and giveaway are those things in your nay list that you can give away, hire somebody for. So I had to first get into the mindset of like, it's okay, just because I can do something doesn't mean that I should. It's okay to take some things from that list and either get rid of them altogether or try to hire someone else to do it for me. Or there are free resources out there as well. I joined Facebook groups and online groups to kind of get advice and support from other women who had been there before me. So that was part of the step, was learning, getting clarity on what I had to delegate. And then another big part of it was mindset and putting myself first sometimes. And I would literally have to put into my calendar, take 10 minutes and go outside, walk the dog, get some fresh air and sunshine. I would have to put it in my calendar or I wouldn't do it. I would sit at my desk all day at home, just like I did back at my corporate job. So by putting it in my calendar, I learned to make that a habit, to really, and it wasn't just walking outside, it was stopping to exercise, stop to have a snack, stop to call a friend, things that would kind of re-energize me and make me not feel so alone and overwhelmed in my business.
Yeah, it's a long road really, and I like your idea of the lists because quite often I don't go outside or I don't take a break or I don't do a lot of things that I should be doing, and then by the end of the day I'm really tired and I
Right.
think I haven't done a lot. Well, I don't feel like I've done a lot, but I probably have. And yeah,
Yes.
and we just keep getting on this perpetual cycle and hamster wheel of just keep going round and round in circles. So,
Absolutely.
how can we change the mindset of doing this? Because I know it's really hard.
It is, and I'm not going to pretend that it's easy to do at first. For me, it was calendaring in those self-care times really helped. But here I am, 4 years after I left that corporate job, and I still have to work on my mindset every day, believing that I can do this and that not equating my productivity to my self-worth, which I think I was doing. The more I got done, I'm sure you can relate to that. The more you do, the better you feel about yourself. So it takes time, it takes practice. One of the things that I stop and do every day is gratitude. I practice gratitude. And that is, sometimes it's written down, just 3 things of my day that went well that I'm thankful for. Because we very often do not stop and either have gratitude for something or celebrate something. Even little things. I always encourage clients that I work with. I always start all our sessions with, what's something that went well today? Or what's something you can celebrate this week? Even if it's a tiny little thing, like, well, I finished half my to-do list. Great. Compared to when you used to beat yourself up for not doing that or only finishing a quarter of it, let's celebrate that. So just kind of appreciating all the hard work that you put in and also being grateful for the various things in your life are a couple of things that help me.
Absolutely. Yes. Being grateful is, I think, one of the top things that we need to do as business owners. You're right. We often don't give ourselves credit for the things that we do, even for the minor things. We that was just a little thing, but it could, potentially be a big thing in the long run down the road. Now, I know
Absolutely.
to-do lists, people have this really bad habit of adding to the bottom of their to-do list rather than having a to-do list with only 10 things on it, making sure that they get those 10 things done. And if they're not important, obviously, and they're still on the list, they're not important to do. So do you have that strategy? Do you advise that strategy?
I do, and I advise breaking it down into very small chunks. I mean, you just mentioned 10 things. For some people that I've worked with, we have to make it as few as 3. Just say, okay, obviously you have to do what you have to do to run your business and to grow it and to succeed. But if you're overwhelmed, if you wake up in the morning to a task list that's 10, 15, 20 tasks long, and that overwhelms you, then break it into smaller chunks. And celebrate each time that you do. Like, well, this morning, I'm going to get these 2 things done. They're priority. And then take a break and say, good for me, I did this. It sounds a little bit simple and silly, but I found that it really kind of over time, it shifts your mindset and takes you out of that grind, I must get everything done in order to be good kind of mindset.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
counterproductive, I think, to having a successful business. Because to me, a successful business is not just one that you're making all the revenue that you want and you have all the clients, or you're selling all the products that you want. It's also that you have peace and happiness and you're able to enjoy time with friends and family and have that somewhat of a balance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you break the tasks into must-dos, can-dos, and maybes, that makes it a lot easier too, because, not everything is a have to. Even if it's on your to-do list, it really doesn't necessarily be a have to.
Right. I completely agree. And we tend to forget that. We just get lost in the weeds of our business and think, I have to get everything done and I have to get it done now. But it's why a lot of businesses don't succeed, a lot of small businesses, because people get overwhelmed because they think they have to do all the tasks all the time.
Yeah, it's a bit like podcasting. I mean, most podcasters only do between 3 and 5 episodes, and after that, they just give up because,
Yes.
It becomes overwhelming and think, oh God, I have to edit this today, or I have to do this or do something. And it's not the case really. I mean, unless you really love doing everything like me.
Yeah, and if that's what I always tell people too, if it lights you up, if it's easy for you, if it's something that you feel like it's a good way to spend your time, then go for it. But if it drains you of your energy and you're dreading doing it, and it takes you away from what you really love doing in your business, then it's time to think about delegating it or getting rid of it altogether. You have to just continue to do what serves you in order for your business to continue to succeed.
Absolutely. And don't do the tasks that, as you say, drain you, because obviously they're not your cup of tea, and give them to somebody who's really good at it and can do it, perhaps half the time that you could, and you don't feel drained, and you can just use that time to, do something else in your business, or, as you said, spend time with family and friends.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I think people are afraid to delegate or to hire out, thinking, I can't afford to do that. It's going to be too much money. But I always encourage, sometimes, again, small chunks. For example, you could hire a virtual assistant for a couple of hours a week. It's not going to cost you that much in the long run. And it will save you so much time and so much mental anguish. I once worked with a client and we did the yay, nay giveaway list because she was doing everything in her business. She was overwhelmed. We did the list. We figured out who she needed to hire. She brought on a project manager actually into her business. And it was an investment. She had to obviously pay this project manager monthly. But within about 3 weeks or so of bringing on the project manager, it freed her up so much to follow up with leads and really, get creative and create new offers. She had 3 new clients within about 3 or 4 weeks. And so it more than paid for the project manager. And she was able to really be in her zone of genius and do what she loved. So I would tell people, it might be a little scary at first to hire someone and to make that investment, but it often really pays off for you.
Yeah, and not only that, but the person that you hire or outsource to may have a skill that you don't have, and they could bring something a lot better to that particular task.
Yes, absolutely. Like I'm okay with numbers, but not great. And I knew early on in my business, all the bookkeeping part of my business, I'd be better served by hiring that out. And I did. because I know that's not my zone of genius. And that would be just draining to me. So yeah, I don't regret that for 1 second.
No, and that's something I will be doing next financial year. Our financial year ends on the 30th of June. So for next financial year, I will be doing that because I so dislike bookwork, paperwork,
Yes, me
numbers.
too.
Not that I'm not good at it. I just don't like it. It doesn't light me up and I find it really boring and tedious.
Rose, we're on the same page. I feel exactly the same way. I could do it, but it doesn't mean I should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cory, what strategies, I guess, other than the list that that you've alluded to, what other strategies are there?
Well, it's interesting because I always encourage people also to, when they first start their business, one of the things that I did was to not be afraid to ask for help and look for support. And I'm not talking about paid support anymore. I'm talking about support that's out there. Other people who have gone before you and have succeeded, or maybe other people, whether it's in the same type of business you have, or just someone who's had that entrepreneurial experience. I found it in Facebook groups and on Instagram, and by joining a mastermind. I did that early on. And it was a way just to speak to other women and just get support, like, oh, and you need help with this? Here's a great resource. Just free resources that are all over the internet that can help you build your business. And kind of, when you have support like that, you don't feel as alone and overwhelmed. And that was part of when I first started this current business. I was getting close to burnout because I was doing it all by myself and I had no one to talk to about it. This remote world is lovely, but you're not in an office and you're not, unless you reach out to people in the online space, you're doing it all by yourself. So whether you find a biz bestie or you just join a Facebook group, there's lots of great resources out there. And I've made a lot of good friends along the way also that have helped me in my business journey.
Yeah, that's really helpful advice, because we can't, as entrepreneurs in general, male or female, just can't do it on our own totally, especially if you've come from corporate where you're used to talking to people all the time, and then all of a sudden you're doing it at home and you don't have anyone except the cat or the dog or the bird to talk to. And they don't always answer back. So
exactly. It's not the kind of support that I'm talking about. But yeah, there's so many resources out there, and I've met so many great people that have just, you can have a Zoom coffee chat with someone anywhere in the world and just talk about, okay, how has it been for you? Here's something that worked for me. Let me recommend this, or let me introduce you to this person. Just increasing your network is always a big help for when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And networking it doesn't have to be, people think of networking as, gaining clients or leads or whatever, but networking can also be good for your mental health if you so need it, because, our mental health, we don't take enough care of, unfortunately, as entrepreneurs. We don't take enough care of our emotional health, and we need to do that. And we forget ourselves.
Why do we do that, Rose? Everybody comes before us, it seems, right? It's just very common.
I think it's more so for women because we nurturers, and we're born that way, wired. So I think that's just the way we do stuff. Even with our clients, we tend to give more than we receive back. And if anything like me, you're a extra giver. I give more than is expected, and then I get totally burnt out or overwhelmed because I think, oh my God, I've put so much into this, and will they like it? Or I start second guessing myself, and then the whole cycle starts again.
I totally relate to that. I know exactly what you're saying. I think something else that's important to do also as a business owner to help both your business and your mental health is get clarity around what your strengths and values are. Now, you can sit down and just make a list. You could literally Google, list of values, but there are some resources out there like the Clifton Strengths and Values in Action, the VIA assessment. get really clear on that. So if you're clear on what your strengths are, like I know bookkeeping is not one of my strengths, but it will help you make a lot of decisions in your business. Like, well, this is what I'm really good at. So this is what I'm going to focus on, and this is what I'll outsource. And values, super important to help you connect with the right people, whether it's people you're hiring, people you're working with, clients. It took me a while in the beginning. I know when you first have a business, you say yes to every potential client that's out there. You're just like, yes, I need to make revenue. I'm going to say yes to everybody. But when you get clarity on your strengths and values, especially your values, you will learn who you're in alignment with and whom you're not. And it's not that you're right and they're wrong. It's just people that you're able to connect with and work well with. And so I went from saying yes to everybody when I first started to getting real clear on what my values are. And now I only work with people that are aligned with that. And you'll know it when it happens, just when you have, an initial encounter with them, a discovery call, whatever it is. But get clear on what's important to you. And that helped me get into a much better headspace in my business too.
Yeah,
being surrounded by people, like these are my people. We kind of speak the same language.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think as we all start out, we want to take on every single client, but really, honestly, you've got to be open to sacking clients because they just don't work for you. They're either too needy or they just don't. They grate you the wrong way. You just don't feel comfortable with them, and don't be frightened to sack people because really your mental health as a business owner is more important than getting that thing across the line that's grating at your soul.
And I found the couple of times I experienced that early on where I did have to sack or say goodbye to a client. Once we had a real chat about it, they basically felt the same way. They knew that things weren't in alignment, that for whatever reason, it just wasn't a match. And so it's actually not as difficult a conversation as you might think it would be.
No, and we have to stop being afraid of our own shadows, basically, and stand up for ourselves as business owners, as people. I mean, you wouldn't go to a supermarket or a shopping center or whatever and let someone walk all over you. So why do we do that in business? Don't be afraid to stand up for yourselves because,
Yes.
You are important.
Yes, absolutely. And it might take a little time to get comfortable with that and to learn that. But once you start doing it again, it becomes a habit. And you'll be so thankful for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cory, I don't suppose you've written a book on this topic at all?
I have not, but I guess you just put that on my to-do list.
Seem to be doing that a lot lately. I don't know why.
Sounds good. I do have a free guide that I'm happy to share, though. It's called Crazy to Calm. And CALM is actually an acronym that I use. It's a system I use with my clients. It stands for clarity, action, leverage, and mindset. And it's full of a lot of great tips and tools about how to get clear on a lot of stuff that I talked about today, your strengths, your values, your yay, nay, give away list, how to delegate, how to get your mindset in a good place. So I'm happy to share that with any of your audience.
And so where can they find it, Cory?
They can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Cory Zacker Consulting, or my website is coryzacker.com.
Perfect. Any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share today?
I just hope that whoever is listening will walk away and just remember the things we talked about. You're not in this by yourself, even though, the word solopreneur is often used these days, but there's no reason to be in it by yourself and to do everything yourself. So hopefully some of the things we talked about today, people can take to heart and start utilizing and start having a better experience and really create the business of their dreams.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Creating the business of our dreams. It's not, it shouldn't be so hard. And we tend to make it hard for ourselves.
Yes, right. We definitely do that.
Cory, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I hope that you'll come back on again later on in the year.
Thanks, Rose. I really enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.